Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I wanted to introduce you to a really good friend of mine and also an incredible fellow female entrepreneur, Jenn Harris. Hi, Jenn. How
Hi,
are you?
everybody. Hey, how's it going?
So, as you guys know, I have the most incredible humans in my life, and I am blessed to be surrounded by some of the most incredible female entrepreneurs. And Jenn is one of them. And we have been friends for a few years, and we bond and sort of have these what we call conscious conversations around what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be a female entrepreneur, and what it means to be spiritual, and kind of combine all of those. And so, just to give you guys a little framework, about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when this situation that we're currently in had just sort of started really ramping up, Jenn reached out and said, like, hey, I have some business ideas, do you want to chat? This is pretty common for us, and I love this idea that she's going to share with you guys. I'll let her kind of tell the history and give her story, but I want to share it with everybody because I think there's so many of you that could benefit and kind of enjoy this business that she wants to bring to life. So I wanted to give her a bit of a platform so that she can explain it. So tell us all about it, Jenn. Who are you and what do you do?
I am in the golf tournament, kind of golf event planning and experience business. I've had a couple different roles in that space. I taught women how to golf for business. Then I built a giant trailer with golf simulators in it. And now I'm running golf tournaments. So I've kind of gone from event to event to event, which, if any of you know, there are no events right now. And so it was a huge kind of blow to the business. And, in that moment, I was lucky because I had a mentor, someone that was a client that turned into a kind of partner and advisor, and just someone, my boyfriend, always be like, God, you talk to Sydney more than you talk to anyone else.
Yeah.
And multiple times a day, working through our business model, working through the tournaments that we have, and then just helping me with life. And so as all of this is going on, it's like, well, what do you focus on? How do you make money? I mean, obviously I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm used to making money for long periods of time, but then having huge kind of paydays.
Yeah.
Especially with events, people don't really want to pay you until the event is over. So you kind of put up a lot of upfront work. Yeah. And so, they're talking, every day. And then all of a sudden I kind of start to see a couple friends on Facebook or LinkedIn who have created these pivots out of their businesses. One was taking his business where he took booze, snacks to offices in the Bay Area and turned it into snacks for hospitals. So, essentially getting people to donate and buy these snacks so he could take them to hospitals. And donate them to them. And I was just thinking well, shoot, what could I do? How can I pivot in this time? I mean, obviously the event side, there isn't much, but we also were starting this foundation called the Swing Angel Foundation. And, one part of it is running golf tournaments and helping foundations and nonprofits raise money. But the other side is helping entrepreneurs connect with leaders in their that they can become more successful and creating those opportunities and those events for them. And so it got me thinking, what could we do with the Swing Angel Foundation entrepreneurship side? And then it got me thinking, there's all these people out there that are talking from 1 to 1,000,000, 1 to, 100 people, whatever, but there wasn't anywhere that was connecting one-on-one conversations.
Sure.
Right. Other people didn't have a Sydney. They didn't have a mentor like I had and some people do, but it takes years to kind of cultivate that relationship where you can call them, I'm freaking out. What am I going to do?
Sure.
How am I going to do this? All of that. And so I just started writing down my thoughts and kind of created this mentor-mentee program where you would go in and you'd kind of list out all of these different questions from a survey. And then we would take that information and pair you up with a mentor or mentee. It's all kind of just giving back, because we want to build the Swing Angel Foundation. We want to help entrepreneurs. So why would we wait? Now's the time. So that was kind of what happened.
So what is like the sort of mission, or just the one or two sentences of the Swing Angel Foundation?
Well, the Swing Angel Foundation wants to engage and inspire young entrepreneurs to be successful. And something that we have that, not other groups don't have, is we have a very big network through Sydney of business owners that have kind of made it, right? His job at SD Genie is to help small businesses and diverse and supplier diversity, diverse owned businesses to connect and get these big contracts with SD Genie. And so he's helped, hundreds of companies go from small to very large companies.
Wow.
In a short amount of time. So that's what he wants to do with this. That's, his passion is that side of things, is really helping. And he probably has like 20 mentees at a time.
Oh, wow.
So
your mentor that has helped you build your business in the event space, and you've built this relationship over the course of how many years?
Like 5 years.
Yeah. So you're in that state where, like, the 5 years, like, I have two mentors. I've had them both for a decade. They helped me, Max and Cheryl. One of the things I talk about the most, and when I go on interviews or talk podcasts, whatever, entrepreneur stuff, the conversation we're having right now, the main thing I talk about is my mentors, because I would literally know nothing. I mean, it just would have been such a hard way to home if I wouldn't have had the two. I've had a couple of mentors, and I have different mentors in different areas of my life. But these two particulars, and it's funny that you say your boyfriend, said you talk to him more than, like, you talk to Sydney more than most people. That is true for me with my mentors as well. Certainly when something is really happening, when something is really going on in the business. I had one mentor that helped me open the deal to sell my company when I was selling bear mixers, and one of them that helped me close the deal. So mentorship, the reason why I wanted to highlight what you're doing, what you're intending to do in this, and give people access to this link so they can find their own mentors, is because it is one of the cornerstones. It's the key thing that you and I know and talk about, that maybe some newer entrepreneurs don't really get yet. That it is the key to your success, because they will help you figure out how to get from point A to point B in the most efficient and effective way. And it's so important to have one. So if you've started your business, you've started a product or service, and if you're in the middle of this time and space, you want to utilize this link and find a mentor, because you should not be running your business without one. Like, it's like a non-negotiable for you if you're starting a business, or, if you're starting a new business.
And it's so hard to find one. I remember.
How did you find yours?
I found mine. I signed up to be in this Masters and Mastery of Business MBG program. It was through SD Genie, and it was learning how to do business with utilities. So it was a whole business plan, 12-week program, multiple times a week. It was a lot of work. And I ended up getting to present High Heel Golfer at the time, one of my businesses, to Sydney. And Sydney was the managing director of Supplier Diversity. So he's kind of the biggest guy that you could kind of get in front of. And then I didn't hear from them for like 6 months. I kept emailing, nothing. And then I ran into him at an event.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, oh, you know what? Call me, and gave me his, number. And so I called him. And then 2 weeks later, we were putting together, High Heel Golfer events. He came up with Clinics for a Cause. Then we started running golf tournaments, and kind of, got me into that business. I'd never run a golf tournament before, but he just said, you know what, you probably can. I've seen what you can do, under fire. And then it just kind of fell into place.
So you saw him kind of from afar, kind of made the decision, like he was somebody that would be a great mentor that you would love to learn from. And then it's
not even a mentor, just a client. I was just looking to get a client. And then he became a mentor from being a client that, just, we worked really well together.
Oh,
But
that's
I
good.
remember back in the day trying to like ask people, well, someone would have a mentor. Well, will you be my mentor? And they're like, that's not how it works.
No.
You've got to build a relationship. They've got to see that you have some sort of spark and you have dedication and you want to work really hard towards something. And so, this program isn't to get you that lifelong mentor. It's more to get you some help now from someone that you could build a relationship with, but it's the intro, right?
Right.
And we're trying to connect you with the right people that potentially could have common interests.
Mm-hmm.
If it's sports or it's common, nonprofits that you want to support, things like that you normally wouldn't be able to figure out if you were just meeting someone
Yeah.
at an event. So we're going on that, more casual theme of connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then potentially industry as well, but we'll need to build up our pool of mentors and mentees before we can start to make those types of connections.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you said with that. It isn't about really just going up and and asking like, would you be my mentor? It is about really honing that relationship, understanding how they feel most appreciated, understanding how to provide some kind of value to them for the value and time that they're giving them, really respecting how much time and energy it takes to be a mentor to somebody and how much time their time is worth, and being super respectful of that, valuing all of that and offering something in return.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is like that. What I've learned, at least, is that offer in return it's obviously mentorship is without finance. So you're not paying that. It's nothing like that. It's how do I make this person really feel like they're appreciated? How do they feel most appreciated? In my experience, sorry guys, my first mentor, I actually did find looking for him. I went to SCORE. Have you ever been to SCORE before?
I never found anyone through SCORE, but it was definitely one of those things when I first started as an entrepreneur, that your people had success through that.
Yeah, so SCORE is this facility. I think it's national. I used it in San Diego, but you can go to any SCORE building in the country. I think there's tons of them all over the place. And there are people that are successful there that are providing free support and mentorship. And I don't even know how I ended up there, but for my very, very first business, I went there and I met Pat Stewart. And that's how I learned, through Pat. Who was an incredible mentor and an incredible support, and really understood, like, he understood me, my like little like kind of neuroses, and like how he could position things to me to have me hear it, and then when he could be really direct with me and when he had to be like a little bit nicer. And he was just like the best first mentor, and I found him through SCORE. Stephen was another one of my mentors who was super instrumental in my decision to selling my company. So sometimes those people can act as reflections to you, right? Like they just ask you certain questions that cause you to start seeing things from a different perspective. And that's the role that they play.
Mm-hmm.
And then Max and Cheryl I've had for 10 years, and I met them through totally random synchronistic circumstances that were just earth angels, total blessings. Like, just like when you get into the spirituality piece of it, it's, and I think it's just so important. So I love what you're doing. I would love to highlight it and share it with people. Is there anything additional that you would say? And we can do another video on this too, so this one's not too long, but on how to kind of navigate building that relationship from a really authentic, genuine place where the mentor, like, are there any tips or things that you do to make sure in 5 years he's already super clear how valuable he was, or he is in your life, but in the beginning, was there
Mm-hmm.
anything that you did specifically to make it
I mean,
really valuable to them?
because we were a client kind of consultant relationship, right? I think the thing that I did to kind of earn his trust as a client, and then down the line, when I did ask, which you have to ask,
Mm-hmm.
I had met someone that was like, you need to build a board of directors for
Mm-hmm.
your business,
Yeah.
or an advisory board. And so that was when I kind of got Sydney on board, and a couple other people. But what happens is that like one or two will shine and they become the people that just like go above and beyond and do so much more that for you than you ever thought anyone would ever do.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, why, why would you do that for me? Why would you do that for anybody? But they
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
But what happened is I had an event where the golf course kitchen was flooded. And so they shut down the restaurant. And we were supposed to have appetizers and drinks and things like that. So I had to, an hour and a half before the event, figure out how to feed 30 people appetizers and wine and all that kind of stuff. So I went to like grocery outlet, bought a bunch of cheese, deli meats. I even made like, what are they called? The basil tomato mozzarella like sticks.
Good. Yeah.
So in an hour and a half, I've all of a sudden made platters for this event. And then I think I forgot napkins, like the one thing, but didn't cancel the event, got it there. And then all the events moving forward, everyone's like, can we have that food we had at that one event?
No,
because it was so healthy and it wasn't fried, and they loved it. So that was kind of the moment where I think he knew I was really good at events and really good at work, thinking on my feet, and just someone that maybe he could kind of help shape and see.
There has to be some kind of inspiration or spark that they see in you, right? And that's in some ways, like when you and I talk about the spiritual stuff, like those are, from my perspective, those are sometimes spiritual connections. Like those people know, they have a sense and a feeling that they are inclined and inspired to support and help you because they see a vision for you, they see your potential, and they're just beautiful, incredible humans who have been sort of placed here to be a guide and a teacher for you. And that's how I see it, because as you said, I love that you said it this way, like they do you would just things that they just go above and beyond what they should be doing for you. Like, this is how I see my mentors. Cheryl has spent more time on the phone with me like than probably anybody on the planet, and has just given so much of herself to me. Max has talked me off of a million ledges in my first business when everything was crazy. And it's a certain connection that you can't really express, and you just have to be grateful for. And I think that
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this entire relationship is just knowing, like, figuring out and understanding what my worth is. You never had a limit on your worth. And so it's constantly making me see that you are worth more. So like in the beginning, if you're a speaker, you're $500, like he'd be like, no, you're worth 50,000, to run a golf tournament or whatever. So like, making me think outside the box, like what that's possible, constantly just keeping that possibility of worth just higher and higher. Something that's really hard to find or see within yourself if you haven't kind of grown up with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you're in a state of sort of lack, right, and you're not in that abundant state, we talk about this all the time, it's much more challenging to ask for what you're worth and to expect to get what you deserve and all of these things, because you're coming from sort of, as an entrepreneur who's just starting, or you're running events and like things are popping up and you're grinding and it's crazy. It's like most of the time you're on just like in your fight or flight mode until you really get your legs out from, under you. So I think mentors do that too, right? They act as a reflection. They get you balanced and centered. They tell you what they help you see what your worth is and what your brilliance is, and all these really beautiful, amazing things. So just to kind of wrap it up, we're going to share your link. Your link is to partner or to give people the opportunity to part with mentors and mentees to come together to kind of start the conversation, initiate the intro, get a vibe, see if you guys jive together, if it's a good fit. And just to get entrepreneurs started on that journey of finding somebody that they can have as support in that way.
Exactly. And then, moving forward as we get out of this pandemic, we'll be able to, invite them to, in-person events and things like that. So, we'll keep in touch and maybe send resources as well. We have a LinkedIn page and a Facebook page where we'll start to kind of add content that's specific to entrepreneurs. So will be a resource down the line, but we wanted to start just connecting people because we think that's something that's lacking in the space right now.
Got it. I love that. Thank you so much for your work. We really appreciate it, and I can't wait to share it. So have a beautiful day, and we will chat with you soon. Thanks for joining and telling us all these beautiful things.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, Jen. Bye. Bye, everybody.